My name is Jonathan Hale, and I wasn't supposed to stay silent this long. But some things are not easy to bring back with you. Some things feel too heavy for ordinary words, because once they're spoken, they don't just change you. They change the way you see everything. I made a promise, not in a moment of strength, but in a place where strength no longer mattered. Somewhere between my last breath and something I can only describe as eternity. I said, if I'm given another chance, I will tell it. So this is me, keeping that promise. I died. My heart stopped. My body went still. And for 18 days, I was gone. Not dreaming, not imagining, gone. And where I was taken was more real than anything I've ever known here. It didn't feel like a vision. It didn't feel like a memory. It felt like something I had always belonged to, and somehow forgotten. And when I came back, it came back with me. Keep speaking. That's what I heard. Not once, not faintly, but again, and again. Keep speaking. I tried to ignore it. I tried to go back to the life I had before, but you can't return to normal after you've seen what waits beyond it. He called my name in the dark, and everything changed. What I'm about to tell you is not just something that happened to me. It's something that concerns you too, because if you're hearing this, you were meant to. Before all of this, before the silence broke open, before eternity pressed its hand against my chest, my life was simple. Not peaceful, just simple. The kind of simple that looks complete from the outside, but echoes when you sit alone too long. I would wake before the sun most mornings. Not because I was disciplined, but because sleep had already abandoned me. There was always a moment, just before I opened my eyes, when I felt something I could never explain. A pause, as if something was waiting for me to notice it, and I never did. I would reach for my phone, scroll through lives that felt louder than mine, voices, faces, noise, anything to avoid the quiet. Because the quiet was where the questions lived. And I did not have answers. Coffee brewing in the background, the same cup, the same place on the counter, steam rising like a prayer I never finished. I would stand there, staring, not thinking, not feeling, just existing. And somehow that became my routine. Days blurred into each other. Conversations that never went deep enough to matter. Laughter that faded too quickly. Moments that passed without leaving anything behind. I was present, but not awake. Alive, but not anchored. And there was a heaviness, not sharp enough to alarm me, but constant enough to follow me. Like something inside me was trying to speak, and I kept silencing it. He called my name in the dark. But back then, I did not recognize the sound. I told myself I was fine. We all do. We learn how to carry emptiness like it belongs to us. We decorate it. We distract from it. We name it normal. But there were moments, small ones, that broke through. Standing in traffic, watching people rush past, I would feel it. A question rising from somewhere deeper than thought. Is this all there is? And I would push it down, because if I let it rise, I knew it would change something. And I was not ready to change, and there were nights when the world grew still, and the noise finally faded. That was when it came back. Not loud, not forceful, just present. A gentle unease, a knowing without words. As if my life was brushing against something eternal, and I kept turning away. I didn't pray, not truly. I remembered God when it was convenient, when fear brushed close enough to wake me. But I never stayed. I never listened long enough to hear what was being asked of me. And still, something stayed near, something patient, something waiting. He called my name in the dark, and I kept living, as if I had not heard it, as if I had time, as if life would always give me another morning, another chance, another breath. I did not know that I was standing at the edge, that everything I called normal was about to disappear, or that the quiet I kept running from was about to become everything. And when it did, there would be no turning back. And then, it happened. Not with warning, not with thunder, just a moment. That split everything in two. I remember the day clearly, not because it was special, but because it wasn't. It felt like every other day I had wasted. The air was ordinary. The light was soft. Nothing in the world seemed to be breaking. Except me. It began as a pressure, deep in my chest, not sharp enough to alarm, but heavy enough to interrupt my breath. I paused, tried to steady myself, tried to convince my body that it was still in control. But something had already begun, something irreversible. The pressure grew, tightened, spread like a silent storm beneath my skin. My heart no longer felt like mine. And then, everything accelerated. While my breath shortened, my hands trembled, the world tilted, just slightly, but enough. Sound became distant. Voices, if there were any. They slipped away like echoes in water. Time did not move forward, it stretched, each second, opening wider, slower, until I was no longer inside it. Panic came first, a sharp, rising fear, the instinct to hold on, to fight, to remain. But it didn't last, because something else entered the moment, a stillness, not around me, within me. It didn't feel like dying, it felt like releasing, like something I had been gripping too tightly was finally letting go. My body grew distant, the pain dissolved, the fear faded, and then I was no longer inside myself. I could see, not with eyes, but with awareness. I saw my body, still, fragile, unmoving, and yet I was there, watching it, not trapped, not afraid, and just aware. There is a moment, I cannot explain it any other way, when you realize you are not what you thought you were, that everything you called you was only a shell. And I was outside of it, weightless, untethered, free, in a way that did not feel like escape, but like truth. He called my name in the dark, and this time I heard it, not as a sound, but as a knowing, a pull, gentle but undeniable. Then the light came, not suddenly, but gradually, like dawn breaking, not in the sky, but within the fabric of existence itself. It did not blind me, it welcomed me, it did not force me, it invited me, and I felt it, drawing me, closer, deeper, beyond. There was no resistance left in me, no fear clinging to what I had been, only a quiet surrender, as if my soul had always known this path, or as if I had been walking toward this moment long before I ever took my first breath. The world I knew fell away, not violently, not suddenly, just softly, like a dream losing its hold. And in its place, something eternal began to unfold. I was not falling, I was not flying, I was being carried into something that felt more real than anything I had ever touched, and for the first time, I understood. I had not lost my life, I had crossed into it. He called my name in the dark. And I followed, without fear, without doubt, without looking back. And as I followed, the light did not remain distant. It opened. Not like a door, but like a passage that had always been there, waiting for me to finally see it. I became aware of movement, but not the kind the body understands. There was no wind, no ground beneath me, no sense of direction as I had known it. And yet, I was traveling, drawn forward through what felt like a living corridor of light, not empty, not silent, alive. The light itself was alive. It pulsed gently, like breath, it shimmered, like something aware of my presence. And as I moved deeper into it, I realized this was not something I was passing through. It was something that was passing through me. Colors began to form, but they were not colors I had ever seen before. They did not belong to the earth. They were deeper, richer, almost conscious. Each shade carried emotion. Each hue felt like a memory. Gold that felt like peace, white that felt like truth, a warmth that had no name, but felt like home. And then there was sound, not noise, not music as we know it, but something woven between both. A harmony that did not come from outside me, but rose from within me, as if I had always known it. It didn't enter my ears, it filled my being. And in that sound, there was understanding. Not spoken, not explained, but known. He called my name in the dark, and here I remembered why. I was not alone. At first it was only a feeling, a presence beyond myself. Then slowly, shapes began to form. Not solid, not defined, but real. Beings, souls. Some passed near me like gentle currents, brushing against my awareness with familiarity I could not place. Others remained at a distance, vast, ancient, peaceful beyond comprehension. There was no fear in them, no judgment, only presence, only belonging. And somehow, I knew I belonged there too, not as a visitor, but as something that had always been part of this and had only forgotten. All the weight I carried in life was gone. Every fear, every insecurity, every silent ache I had learned to live with fell away effortlessly, not removed, released, as if they had never truly been mine to hold. There was no need to prove anything, no need to defend myself, no need to hide. I was fully seen and fully accepted. And in that acceptance, I felt something I had never truly felt before. Not on earth, not even in moments I thought were love. This was different. This was complete. A love that did not depend on me being worthy. A love that did not change. A love that simply was. And it surrounded me. It filled me. It became me. Returned to the fire. The thought did not come from me, but it was placed within me. Gentle. Certain. Like a truth I had always known, but had buried beneath the noise of living. And then it came again, clearer this time. You were brought here to remember. Not as a voice, not as words spoken aloud, but as a knowing so deep it bypassed thought entirely. I was not there by accident. I was not drifting. I was being shown, being reminded, that everything I had chased, everything I had feared losing, was never the point. In that place, identity did not come from what I had done, or what I had achieved, or what I had lost. It came from something deeper, something eternal, something I had forgotten. And now, I was beginning to remember. He called my name in the dark, and here, in the light, I finally understood what it meant to answer. Not with words, not with effort, but with surrender. Complete and unafraid. And still, there was more. The deeper I moved into that presence, the more I felt it, drawing me toward something greater. Not just a place, not just a realm, but a meeting. A moment that had been waiting for me, long before I ever knew I was searching. And I knew, without being told, I was about to see him. And nothing in my life had prepared me for what that would mean. And then, everything stilled. Not because movement ceased, but because I had reached something where movement was no longer necessary. The light around me, which had been flowing, breathing, alive, began to gather. Not collapsing, but focusing, as if all of creation was turning its attention toward a single point. And I felt it before I saw him. A presence, not approaching, not arriving, but revealing, like he had always been there, and I was only now able to perceive him. He called my name in the dark, and here he stood in the light. I did not need to be told who he was, or there was no introduction, no announcement, no explanation. Recognition rose from somewhere deeper than memory, immediate, absolute, certain. Every part of me knew. And in that knowing, I felt something I cannot fully carry into words. Not fear, never fear, but a weight of truth, of holiness, of being completely seen, without the ability to hide. And yet, I did not want to hide, because what stood before me was not accusation. It was love, a love so pure, so unfiltered, that it uncovered everything in me without wounding me. Then it began. Not slowly, not step by step, but all at once. My life, every moment, not as I remembered it, but as it truly was. I saw everything, the words I spoke and the words I swallowed, the kindness I offered and the kindness I withheld, and the moments I thought no one noticed, and the ones I had forgotten entirely. But more than that, I felt them, not just from my perspective, but from others. Every action echoing outward, every choice touching lives I never considered. Nothing was hidden, nothing distorted, everything laid bare in perfect clarity, and yet there was no condemnation, no anger, no rejection, only understanding, complete and undeniable understanding. I saw where I had fallen short, and I wanted to turn away, not because I was being judged, but because I could finally see what I had missed, see what I had ignored, see what I had been created for, and how far I had drifted from it. And still, he did not withdraw, he did not turn his face, he remained, steady, present, closer than breath. And in that presence, I felt something break open inside me. Not shame, not despair, but truth, a truth that did not crush me, but awakened me, returned to the fire. The knowing moved through me again, not spoken aloud, but placed directly into my being. And then, he showed me something deeper. Not just what I had done, but why. The hidden places of my heart, the quiet motivations, the fears I disguised as logic, the wounds I carried, that shaped the way I lived. He saw it all, and he understood it all, better than I ever had. There was nothing in me that he did not already know, and nothing in me that made him step back. This is what broke me, not judgment, not exposure, but love. That did not leave when it had every reason to. He called my name in the dark, and here, he showed me who I had been in the light. Then came the knowing, clear, undeniable, unshakable, not in words, but I will speak it as best as I can. I was not brought there to be condemned. I was not brought there to remain. I was brought there to see, to remember, to understand what truly matters, before it was too late to choose it. My life was not over, but it had reached a moment where truth could no longer be avoided. And I was being given something I did not deserve, but desperately needed: clarity, and with it, a weight, a responsibility, a calling, not one I had earned, but one I could not refuse. Keep speaking, it came again. Stronger now, not a suggestion, not a comfort, a command, wrapped in love. Because what I had been shown was not only for me, it was for you. It was for anyone who still has breath left to choose. And as I stood there, held in that presence, seen more clearly than I had ever been, I realized something that changed everything. He was not looking at who I had been. He was showing me who I was meant to become. Return to the fire. Return to what is eternal. Return before time runs out. And as that truth settled into me, something shifted again. The encounter was not ending, but expanding. And because what came next was not just about my life, it was about all of ours, and what I was about to be shown carried a weight that I am still learning how to carry. And then, what I was allowed to see moved beyond me. The focus shifted, not away from me, but through me, as if my life had only been the doorway, and now I was being shown the house. The light widened, it stretched, farther than distance, deeper than thought, and suddenly, I was seeing the world, not as we present it to each other, not filtered through noise or pride or distraction, but as it truly is. Exposed, vulnerable, hungry. I saw people, millions, countless, moving, speaking, building, chasing, but not seeing. Eyes open, but hearts asleep. Lives filled, but souls empty. I felt it, not as observation, but as burden, the weight of humanity's distance from truth, not because truth had been taken from them, but because it had been left behind, forgotten, ignored, buried beneath everything that does not last. The truth must be told. It moved through me like fire, not to destroy, but to awaken. I saw how easily we trade eternity for moments, how we build identities on things that cannot hold us, how we fill our lives with noise, so we never have to hear what is calling us home. And then I saw something deeper, something that shook me, not darkness, but absence, not evil as we imagine it, but disconnection, a quiet drifting, a slow forgetting of who we were created to be. They were chosen. The knowing came again, not about a group, not about status, not about power, but about people, all people, created with purpose, formed with intention, carrying something eternal and living as if they are temporary. They were chosen, chosen to reflect something greater, chosen to live anchored in truth, chosen to walk in light. And yet, so many had forgotten. I saw lives filled with striving, but empty of meaning. I saw hearts searching, but looking in places that could never answer them. I saw people running, without knowing what they were running from, and all the while, truth remained, unmoved, unbroken, waiting, not hidden, not destroyed, but unchosen. This isn't just about restoration. The words settled into me like something ancient. This was not about returning to what was lost, but awakening to what has always been. Truth does not disappear. It is not erased. It waits, patient, unchanging, until someone chooses to see it again. Return to the fire, which return to what does not fade. Return before the silence becomes permanent. I saw how the world had grown comfortable with distance from God, how we learned to live without Him, while still speaking His name, how we built lives that did not require His presence, and then wondered why we felt empty. This was the revelation. Not that humanity was abandoned, but that humanity had drifted, not violently, not suddenly, but slowly, quietly, one distraction at a time, one compromise at a time, one forgotten moment at a time, until truth felt distant, and everything else felt urgent. And then, I saw something else, something that did not break me, but gave me hope. Small at first, almost hidden, but real. People beginning to wake, not all at once, not loudly, but deeply. A stirring, a remembering, a turning, but back towards something they could not fully explain, but could no longer ignore. And I understood. This is where everything changes, not in systems, not in structures, not in noise, but in hearts, one by one, returning, choosing, remembering. The truth must be told, because the truth is not forceful, it does not demand, it invites, and many have not heard it clearly because it has been drowned out. But now it is rising again. And I felt it, burning within me, not as knowledge, but as responsibility. I was not shown this to hold it. I was not brought there to remain silent. Keep speaking. Because what is coming is not about fear. It is about awakening. It is about returning to what is real, before everything false begins to fall away. He called my name in the dark. And now I understand why. So I could see. So I could remember. So I could tell you, before it is too late to choose. And just when the weight of it all felt almost too much to carry, the vision shifted again. Not away from the brokenness, but through it, like light finding its way through cracks in stone. I began to see people, not as they were, but as they were becoming. At first it was subtle, so quiet, you could almost miss it. A single heart, turning, a single life, pausing long enough to listen. Moments that seemed small, but carried eternity inside them. I saw a man, standing alone, choosing forgiveness over pride. I saw a woman, kneeling in silence, not out of ritual, but out of surrender. I saw families, fractured by years of distance, beginning to mend, not perfectly, but honestly. And in each of these moments, there was something the world doesn't celebrate. Stillness, surrender, truth, and return to the fire. It moved through them, not loudly, not violently, but undeniably, like something ancient was being remembered again. And then it spread, not like noise, not like chaos, but like a quiet awakening moving from soul to soul. I saw communities, people gathering not for performance, but for presence, seeking something real, something unshaken, something eternal, and I understood, this is how it begins, not with systems changing, but with hearts returning, one by one. Then the vision widened. What was once scattered began to connect, like threads being drawn together into something greater than themselves. I saw people who had been lost in distraction begin to hunger for truth. I saw those who had built their lives on temporary things begin to feel the weight of what does not last. And instead of running from it, they turned toward it, toward Christ, not as an idea, not as tradition, but as truth, living, present, calling, and they responded, not perfectly, but sincerely, and that sincerity ignited something. The world must be shaken before it can be restored. I saw it, not destruction, but disruption, everything unstable, beginning to tremble, everything false, beginning to fall away, not all at once, but undeniably. The things people trusted in, that could not hold them, began to reveal their weakness. And in that shaking, a choice emerged, clearer than ever before. The time is now. Choose. It echoed through the vision, not as fear, but as invitation, not as pressure, but as truth. Choose what is eternal, or remain in what is fading. Choose light, or remain in what dims. Choose Christ, or continue wandering. And I saw people choosing, not all, but enough. Enough to shift something, enough to begin something, enough to remind the world that it is not too late. The awakening was not loud, it was not forced, it was not controlled, it was alive, growing, spreading, one surrendered heart at a time, and as it grew, so did the light. Not the light I first entered, but its reflection. Here, in lives, in choices, in truth being lived, not just spoken. Return to the fire. Return to what is real. Return to what remains when everything else falls away. And then, I understood something that has not left me since. The future is not fixed. It is formed by what we choose now. The time is now. Choose. Because the awakening is not coming someday. It is beginning. It is already here. Quietly. Patiently. waiting for those who are willing to see. Well, he called my name in the dark, and now he is calling yours. The question is not whether the call is real. The question is, will you answer it while there is still time? And then, without warning, I was pulled back. Not gently, not gradually, but suddenly, like being torn from a place that finally made sense and forced back into something that no longer did. Weight returned first. Crushing, immediate, unfamiliar, my chest, tight, my breath, shallow, my body, heavy in a way I had never noticed before. Sound followed. Sharp, disjointed, loud, not like the harmony I had just known, but fragmented, mechanical, harsh. And then, pain, not just physical, but something deeper. The pain of separation. I was back, inside the body I had left behind, and it felt wrong, like wearing something too small for what I had become. And light still existed, but it no longer surrounded me. It came from above, cold, distant, artificial. The air felt thick, time felt heavy, everything moved, but nothing felt alive. He called my name in the dark, and now the world felt dim. Not because it had changed, but because I had. I became aware of where I was. A hospital room. Machines breathing where I could not. Monitors speaking in rhythms that were not my own. People moving, but their presence felt far away, like I was watching life through a barrier that had not existed before. I tried to hold on to what I had seen, tried to keep it close, but the weight of this world pressed in, constant, relentless. And I realized something that terrified me. This place, what we call reality, felt less real than where I had just been. Days passed, or maybe hours. Time did not feel the same anymore. I spoke when I could, tried to explain, tried to share even a fraction of what had been placed inside me, but words failed me. How do you explain eternity to someone who is counting minutes? How do you describe truth to someone who has only known fragments? Some listened, but their eyes could not hold what I was saying. Others smiled, gently, carefully, the way people do when they do not understand but do not want to offend. And some turned away, because something in them recognized the weight of it and chose not to carry it. I do not blame them. I was once the same. Returned to the fire. But then, something else began. Not around me, but within me. A resistance. Subtle at first, a voice of doubt, a question that did not come from the truth, but from fear. Did it really happen? Was it real? Should you speak? And then, another? Stronger. Stay quiet. Return to normal. Forget. But I could not, because what I had seen was not something you remember. It was something that rewrites you, and silence became heavier than speaking. There were moments, in the stillness of night, when I felt it again. Not the full presence, but the echo of it. Close enough to remind me, far enough to make me long for it. And in those moments, it returned, clear, unshaken, unavoidable. Keep speaking. Not loud, not forceful, but final, like something already decided. He called my name in the dark, and now he was asking me to carry the light back into it. I understood then, this was not just an experience, it was an assignment, not to convince, not to argue, but to tell, to speak what I was shown, even when it is misunderstood, even when it is rejected, even when it costs me the comfort I once lived in, because the truth was never meant to be comfortable. It was meant to awaken, and awakening always meets resistance, from the world, from others, from within. But none of that changes what is real. Keep speaking. So I will. Even here, even now, even if my voice trembles, because what I was shown was never meant to stay silent. And now, I am speaking to you, not to a crowd, not to a distance, to you. Because if you are still here, if you have listened this far, then this is not random. This is not coincidence. You were brought here to remember, not something new, but something you already carry and have almost forgotten. There is more happening than what you can see, more than what you have been told, more than what you have learned to accept as normal. There is a battle, not of weapons, not of nations, but of attention, of truth, of your soul. And most people do not even know they are in it. They move through life thinking they are choosing freely, while being pulled by everything that keeps them distracted, everything that keeps them numb, everything that keeps them from asking the questions that would change everything. He called my name in the dark, and he is still calling. But the noise, the endless noise, is drowning it out. This is how people drift, not by rebellion, but by neglect, not by rejection of truth, but by postponing it. On saying, later, saying, not now, saying, when I have more time. But time is not what you think it is. I have seen what waits beyond it, and I am telling you, with everything in me, you do not have as much of it as you believe. The world will keep moving, faster, louder, more consuming. It will offer you comfort, while quietly taking your attention. It will offer you identity, while pulling you away from your origin. It will offer you everything, except what is eternal. Return to the fire. Return to what is real. Return before the noise becomes your truth. You are not here by accident. You are not listening to this by chance. Something in you recognizes this, even if you cannot explain it, even if you have tried to ignore it, even if it makes you uncomfortable. You were brought here to remember, to pause, to look beyond what you have been chasing, and ask yourself, what am I building my life on? Because everything built on what fades will fade with it. Everything built on distraction will collapse under its own emptiness. Everything built without truth will not hold you when it matters most. The time is now. Choose, not later, not when it is easier, not when it feels convenient. Now. Choose what you give your attention to. Choose what you anchor your life in. Choose what you are becoming. Choose truth or continue in distraction. Choose what is eternal or remain in what is passing. Choose Christ or continue searching in places that cannot answer you. This is not about fear. It is about clarity. It is about waking up before the moment comes when you can no longer choose. The time is now. Choose. Because one day, you will stand where I stood, and in that moment, nothing else will matter. Not what you owned, not what you achieved, not what you avoided. Only what was real, only what was true, only what you chose when you still had time. He called my name in the dark, and I answered. Now, he is calling yours. So I ask you, not loudly, not forcefully, but truthfully. Will you answer, while you still can? And now, you know. Not everything. Not completely. But enough. Enough to feel it, enough to sense that something in you has shifted. This was never just my story. It only passed through me, so it could reach you. Because what I saw, what I was shown, is not reserved for a moment. It is waiting for all of us. There will come a day when everything you have built your life around will fall silent. Not destroyed in chaos, but stripped of importance. A day when time no longer protects you, when distraction no longer shields you, when truth stands in front of you, unchanging, undeniable, and in that moment you will see, clearly, completely, without filters, without excuses, without delay, and once you see, you cannot unsee. That is what stays with me, not just what I experienced, but what it revealed. That awareness, once awakened, does not go back to sleep. So the question is not whether that moment will come. It will, for me, for you, for all of us. The question is, what will you do before it does? Will you continue as you are, moving through life, surrounded by noise, held together by things that do not last? Or will you stop, even now, and listen? He called my name in the dark, and I heard him, but I almost didn't. That is what haunts me, not fear, not death, but how close I came to never answering. Return to the fire, not later, not when it is easier. Now, while your heart still responds, while your spirit still stirs, while the call is still reaching you. Because one day, the silence will be complete, and in that silence, truth will remain. The truth must be told, even when it is uncomfortable, even when it costs something, even when it changes everything. The time is now. Not tomorrow, not someday. Now, choose. Because once you have heard this, once something inside you recognizes it, you are no longer the same. You cannot return to not knowing. He called my name in the dark, and now you have heard it too. If something in you felt this, if something in you paused, even for a moment, then stay here. As this space, minutes beyond life, is not just a channel, it is a place to remember, a place to step beyond the noise and return to what is real. Walk with us, not in fear, but in truth. Go back, not to distraction, but to the Gospels. Return to Christ, not as tradition, not as routine, but as truth. Living, calling, waiting. Because the cost of forgetting is everything, and the gift of remembering is life beyond it. The time is now. Choose